The bells jingle. The fool cartwheels across marble floors, his painted face splitting into an enormous grin as snowballs erupt in laughter. He juggles, he tumbles, and he sings bawdy songs that makes the ladies blush and the lords roar. The performance ends to thunderous applause. 3 hours later, the same man sits alone in a cold stone chamber, still wearing his motley, wondering if the joke he made about the king's hunting skills will cost him his tongue. We think we know the court jester. The historical record has given us a sanitized version. The lovable fool, the permitted truth teller, the one person who could mock the king and walk away unscathed. This image persists in popular culture, in Renaissance fairs, and in children's books. The jester as a figure of whimsy and harmless rebellion. The reality was something else entirely. These men and women lived at the intersection of entertainment and survival. Their workplace was the royal court during an era when the monarch's world could end a life before breakfast. The same kings who laughed at the jesters' antics also ordered executions for sport, waged wars on whims, and disposed of wives who failed to produce sons. Absolute power wasn't a metaphor, it was the air everyone breathed. The jester's painted smile served a purpose. It masked fear, calculation, and the constant assessment of danger that came with making powerful people laugh. Every performance was a tightrope walk. Every joke carried risk. The bells and bright colors weren't just costume elements. They were armor of a different kind, and often not enough. The jester occupied a strange space in the medieval court hierarchy. They could say things that would get anyone else killed. A nobleman who questioned the king's judgment would find himself in the tower. A servant who laughed at the royal incompetence would be flogged. But the jester could call the king a fool to his face, and sometimes the king would laugh. This wasn't freedom, it was a job requirement with a mortality rate. The privilege existed because monarchs needed it. Courts were filled with sycophants and yes-men, people who would praise a disastrous military campaign or pretend a terrible poem was brilliant. Jesters provided a release valve. They could voice criticism disguised as humor and tell the king what his advisors wouldn't. But the disguise had to be perfect. The timing had to be flawless. One miscalculation and the license to mock became a death sentence. History records the failures. Triboulet, jester to King Francis I of France, once made a joke suggesting the king's sister had loose morals. Francis threatened to kill him. Triboulet begged for his life and was granted one mercy. He could choose how he died. His response was pure jester instinct. I choose to die of old age. The king laughed and spared him. But the message was clear. Even the most favored fool lived one bad joke from execution. Not everyone got a second chance. Lesser-known jesters simply vanished from historical records after an ill-received performance. Court chronicles mentioned them 1 month, then never again. Some were banished, some were imprisoned, and some were killed outright when a joke landed during a moment of royal anger rather than royal amusement. The pressure was relentless. A jester couldn't repeat material. The king had heard all the old jokes. Every performance demanded fresh wit, new angles, and sharp observations. They had to read the room with supernatural accuracy. Was the king in a mood to be mocked today? Or would teasing about his failed diplomacy trigger rage? Had the queen just received bad news? Was that duke in the corner nursing a grudge? The jester had to track all of it, process it instantly, and adjust their routine in real time. Court politics added another layer of danger. Powerful nobles often hated the jesters precisely because they had the king's ear. A jester who made jokes at a duke's expense might find that duke looking for revenge. Poison in the food, an arranged accident, or a whispered suggestion to the king that the jester had been disloyal. The jester had no allies among the powerful, no protection beyond the monarch's fickle favor. They performed alone, and when they fell alone. The bells and motley gave jesters access everywhere. They could wander through private chambers, listen at doorways, and sit in corners during sensitive meetings. People spoke freely around them because fools weren't supposed to matter. This made them perfect spies. Kings used them to gather information that official channels couldn't provide. What were the courtiers saying when the king left the room? Which nobles were forming alliances? Who was sleeping with whom? The jester had everything and reported back. Some jesters served as unofficial diplomats. Will Somers, jester to Henry VIII, carried messages the king couldn't send through formal channels. He could float travel balloons, test reaction to potential policies, and deliver warnings disguised as jokes. When Henry wanted to gauge how his court would respond to divorcing Catherine of Aragon, Somers helped read the room. Their work went far beyond entertainment, but this success came with a price. Jesters became convenient targets when kings needed someone to blame. A new tax proved unpopular. Let the jester announce it in a comic routine, then act surprised by the public outcry. A military campaign failed. The jester's advice must have been poor. Kings could distance themselves from their own decisions by pretending the fool had influenced them. The jester absorbed the anger that should have fallen on the monarch. Stanchik, jester to 3 Polish kings, delivered news of military defeats and territorial losses. The nobles could rage at him instead of questioning royal strategy. He became the messenger everyone wanted to shoot, performing a function that protected the throne at his own expense. Court records show him growing increasingly melancholic as he aged, worn down by years of being the bearer of bad tidings. The knowledge itself was dangerous. A jester who knew about planned assassinations, secret marriages, or plot against rival nobles carried information that could get them killed by multiple parties. They couldn't tell anyone what they knew, and they couldn't write it down. They had to remember everything, analyze it, report it accurately to the king, and never reveal to anyone else what they'd learned. The mental strain was enormous. These were people who had to be perpetually alert, maintaining perfect recall while performing comedy, tracking dozens of impersonal dynamics, and knowing that any mistake could be fatal. They lived with constant paranoia because the paranoia was justified. Trust no one, watch everyone, and remember that the king who confides in you today might decide tomorrow that you know too much. Sleep became difficult. Many court jesters showed signs of what we'd now recognize as chronic stress disorders. They developed drinking problems. They aged rapidly. Contemporary accounts describe jesters becoming increasingly erratic or depressed, their performances growing darker and their jokes more bitter. The act of pretending everything was funny while carrying the weight of court secrets broke people down. Some went mad, others just went quiet, the spark gone from their eyes even as they continued to smile and dance. Thank you for watching. Until the next one.